So here is the quick story from the famous book. In a pottery class, the teacher split students into two groups. One group was told your grade depends on how many pots you make. The other group, your grade depends on making just one but perfect pot. So guess what happened? The students who made more pots ended up producing much better pots than the ones who tried to make just one flawless masterpiece. So why is that? Because with every attempt they learned, they made mistakes, adjusted, experimented, and improved fast. So that same principle applies to automation. So don't start by building a complex, perfect end-to-end workflow. Start by building 10 small useful ones. None of them will be perfect. Some of them will be just 3 or 4 nodes, but they will save your time today and they teach you how to automate faster. Combining 3-4 working workflows is much easier than create a complex one from scratch. So let me show you. So in the first example, I made several workflows using voice and file recognition. This is the basic technique, which is relatively easy to implement, and yet it's still very helpful for user input. So my first notes for voice and file recognition were pretty basic, but they actually work. So as you can see here, it's not perfect at all. At the beginning, we have to recognize, is it a text, is it a document, is it a photo? And since I had only a Telegram input at the beginning, I used information from the Telegram here. So when I wanted to reuse it somehow in other workflows, for example, to get messages from WhatsApp or from Mattermost, I had to make a lot of adjustments, right? That was one mistake here. Another mistake, I had to treat documents and photos differently, as you can see here, because the Telegram gives you information about the file in a different way comparing to the image, because it gives you a lot of different sizes of the images. That's why I had another branch just to have a photo properly downloaded before posting it to analyze image node here. So as you can see, it's not perfect at all, it's ugly, but it worked, right? That's the really important part. And then while it worked, I figured out that, hey, it would be a good solution not just to add error validations here and there, right? I figured out that why not just make one node that will help me to gather all the information, regardless if it's a file or a photo, whatever it can be. Then I can reuse this information later in my workflow. So now my reusable workflow with files and photos and voice works like this. I can have voice, I can have text, I can have a photo or a document. It all comes from this one node that already recognized what it is. It doesn't care if it's a Telegram, if it's a Mattermost, etc. So all I have to do is just to simply have a switch node here. Then I can treat each branch differently, either it is a voice or a text or a files. So it's much more readable. It's reusable, which is the most important part. And it still works, right? So, but to get to this evolutionary, I had to spend a lot of time playing with my old workflow, make it over and over again 4 or 5 times until it was possible to change it in that way. So example number 2, you see how big and ugly this workflow is. This is a simple application, a calorie tracker, but you can try to count how many nodes are here. I think it's about 30 or 40, right? So I spent so much time developing it from scratch, and every time I needed to change even a small part of it, it broke completely. So then I split it into several independent workflows. So I tried to think which part of this application can be a separate independent apps. So I tried to treat them as a different independent workflows so I could test them separately and be sure that they work properly. So now this workflow is just a navigation between different smaller applications, each of which is just a separate workflow that can be tested separately, that can be treated separately, and it even working much faster. That's another example. So as you can see, here is a separate workflow for registration, a separate workflow to get the latest meals, to get analytics, to get your goals, to report a meal, etc., etc. So every little feature can be organized as a separate workflow, and it will simplify your life and speed up the whole process. And the third example, when you work long enough, you start noticing things. When I first built this, I didn't think it's that ugly. I thought, wow, I just gathered all my messages into one workflow, so I can call it from anywhere. So I thought it's even pretty powerful, and it's more or less simple, right? Just one switch and Telegram notes here, so it's pretty easy. So only after a lot of iterations, I figured out that I'm actually sending similar types of messages every time. So I just regroup them and simplify the whole thing. So now I have simple message, I have message with a callback, I have edit message, delete message, download file message, and that's it. So I hope these examples give you an idea that it is very hard to build something pretty from the start, but even when you try, you simply do not know that it is ugly until you build something new, something different from what you've built before, and then you will see your previous code from this perspective. So you know what feels the best? It's when you go back to your old workflows and you feel a little ashamed. So, oh my God, who did this? Yes, it was you. And you know what? The current ones that you are actually proud of will seem a bit odd in a month, but only if you are progressing. So, thanks for watching.